A man is sitting by a fire. He has already eaten. He is not being hunted. There is nothing to build, nothing to fix, nothing to run from. And for the first time in the history of his species, he has absolutely nothing to do. He does not know what to feel, because this feeling does not have a name yet. We call it boredom now. But back then, it might have been the strangest sensation a human had ever experienced. Here is the strange part. For almost the entire existence of our species, boredom could not happen. Not because ancient life was exciting, because ancient life never gave the brain a single free moment. Every hour was spent watching for danger, searching for food, fixing tools, or moving to the next camp. The brain was built for one job: stay busy or die. So when did that change? And what did it feel like to be the very first human whose brain had nothing left to process? That question is where this gets interesting. Your brain did not evolve to relax. It evolved to scan, constantly checking the trees for movement, constantly listening for footsteps that were not yours. This scanning system used a huge amount of energy, and it never really switched off, which meant ancient humans were almost never doing nothing. Even sitting still, their minds were working, watching, predicting, preparing. Think about that for a second. A resting body is not the same as a resting mind. Even in sleep, part of that old alarm system stayed lit, ready to wake a person at the smallest unfamiliar sound. There was no version of a human brain that simply had nothing to think about. The thinking was the survival. But here's the problem with a brain like that. It needs a threat or a task to point itself at. Take away the threat, take away the task, and the system does not know what to do with itself. That gap, that empty space where the brain expects danger or duty and finds neither. That is the exact moment boredom was born. So when did humans first get enough safety to feel it? Somewhere between 200,000 and 50,000 years ago, something shifted. Humans started living in slightly larger groups. Groups meant more eyes watching for danger at the same time, which meant any one person did not have to watch every second. Fire helped too. A controlled fire at night meant predators mostly stayed away, which meant humans could sit still after dark without their nervous system screaming at them to move. Shelter helped in the same quiet way. A cave entrance blocked with brush, a hut with walls. These were not just protection from weather, they were protection from constant vigilance. For the first time, a person could close their eyes without wondering what was circling just outside. For the first time, there were pockets of the day where nothing needed to happen, and that should have felt like peace, except it did not. Here's the part almost nobody talks about. Boredom does not feel calm. It feels almost painful. Studies on modern humans show that an idle brain does not relax. It searches. It searches for a problem to solve, even if there is no problem. Some people would rather give themselves a small electric shock than sit alone with nothing to do for 15 minutes. That is how uncomfortable an idle mind actually is. So imagine the first ancient human who had that same discomfort, but with no idea why they were feeling it. No word for it, no one to explain it. Just this itch in the mind that would not go away. What would you do with a brain that is demanding a problem when there is no problem left to solve? You would probably start making one up. And this is where something remarkable happens. Some researchers believe this exact gap, this uncomfortable empty space, is what pushed early humans toward the first things that were not strictly necessary for survival. Carving patterns into bone for no practical reason. Humming a rhythm that served no purpose except to fill the silence. Telling a story about the hunt that already happened, not to teach anyone, but because the brain wanted something to chew on. Picture that same man by the fire again. His hands are empty, his stomach is full, his mind is restless. So he picks up a stick and starts scratching lines into the dirt. Not because he needs to, because sitting there with nothing happening felt worse than doing something pointless. None of these things kept anyone alive, but all of these things kept the brain occupied, which means boredom was not just an uncomfortable accident. It may have been the pressure that pushed humans toward imagination itself, but there is a twist here that changes the whole story. If boredom pushed humans toward creativity, why does modern boredom feel so unproductive? Why does a bored person today scroll through a phone instead of inventing something? Here is the answer, and it is almost too simple. Ancient boredom had nowhere to hide. There was no easy distraction sitting in your pocket. If your brain demanded a problem, and none of the easy fake problems existed yet, you were forced to sit with the discomfort until your mind built something out of nothing. Modern boredom almost never gets that far. The second the itch starts, a screen answers it instantly, which means the deeper, slower, more creative response never gets triggered. The brain gets a quick hit of stimulation and stops searching before it finishes the job it was trying to do. It is a little like scratching an itch before it even fully starts. The relief comes fast, but nothing underneath ever gets resolved. You feel the pull, you glance at a screen, and the moment passes without your mind ever being forced to build something on its own. So the very discomfort that once pushed humans toward art, music, and storytelling now gets interrupted before it can finish its job, which raises an uncomfortable question. What are we not inventing right now? Simply because we never let ourselves feel bored long enough to build something out of it. There is actually a strange kind of evidence for this. People often report their best ideas showing up in the shower, or on a long walk, or during a boring commute with no phone signal. Those are some of the last remaining pockets of modern life where the old discomfort is allowed to run its full course. The idea does not come despite the boredom, it comes because of it, which means the ancient system is still fully intact inside you right now. It never went away. It just rarely gets the chance to finish what it starts. Think about the last time you were truly bored. No phone, no sound, just you and your own mind. Chances are, it has been a long time. Maybe you cannot even remember the last time you let that feeling run its full course. That ancient human by the fire did not have a choice. He had to sit with the discomfort, and somewhere in that discomfort, without knowing it, he took one of the first steps toward everything we now call imagination. The feeling has not changed in 200,000 years. Only our reaction to it has. Boredom was never a problem to escape. It was the first blank page the human mind was ever handed, and every single time you interrupt it, you are closing that page before a single word gets written on it.